Zach is going to give you our next speaker.
Up next we have John Gifford. He was born and raised on a farm in Vermont, where he's ruling from for us today. He invests in real estate throughout the United States, specializes in super priority lien properties, turnkey properties, also has the ultimate property. Let's go ahead and welcome John Gifford.
Well, thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, I am from Vermont. I grew up on a farm, very proud of it. But I've been investing in real estate and overall investing in teaching this all over, I have to say worldwide now. I was in Australia for 4 years, been to Canada, and I've been doing this almost weekly in the U.S., teaching people how to invest. So to get started, I want to ask you this question. How many of you got an IRA, 401k, money market, money in the bank? How many have that? Okay, now how many of you are real excited over the results?
No.
We got one. This is the issue that every single person has, is where in the world can we invest our money today and get a decent return? And I think that's it. And you're going to see, this is one of the areas that I like to address. We're going to learn how to get multiple streams of income. How many know how important it is to have multiple streams of income? You're darn right. I'm going to give you a real key little principle in a moment. Principles investing in real estate. How to profit from today's in real estate. Our investment process, where we invest, and why. I'm sure some of you, most of you, have seen this video. I can't play it because I have no audio. But everybody's seen that interview with Warren Buffett? This is what he said. He said, real estate's a very attractive asset class. I think we all know that. That's why you folks are here. Real estate is as low as it's been in years. Okay? Interest rates are as low as they've been in 60 years. That's one heck of a combination. And check this out. Rents are going up. How many times, and over the history, no matter what the market is, and the economy is, have we seen rents go down? Not very often. We've seen real estate go down, we've seen interest rates go up and down, but that is one heck of a combination. So with a 30-year mortgage, you can short the dollar, is what he said. He said you can go get a 30-year mortgage, get the lowest interest rate you possibly can. If for some reason the interest rates go lower, you can refinance. But if they go up, the guy's stuck. And you've got to, so I mean, it's an incredible investment opportunity. My background, I spent 14 years with IBM. I had my own computer company for a number of years. And during that time, I also pastored a little country church. And what do you think the number one problem was when I counseled people in a relationship? Money. Over and over and over and over I had up against that. And I remember, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, because it's my story, but I remember asking the good Lord, if you could show me something that I could take and help people, that's what I'd like to do with the rest of my life. This was 13 years ago. 2 weeks later, I got a call from a friend I hadn't seen in 5 years, and he was in Australia, and he said, John, how would you like to come over here and learn how to not only invest in real estate, but also invest in the markets, in the financial markets? And I immediately in my mind, from being a pastor, Apostle Paul said to Timothy, as I teach you, you go teach others. I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I was over there for 4 years. Then I was invited to come over here, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's changed my life. I got to share this with you. I said I was going to. In Ecclesiastes 11:2, it says this. When you invest your money in many places. The Hebrew word for many places is 7 or 8. Then it goes on to say, because you do not know what hazard lies ahead. Isn't it interesting that centuries ago we were taught how we're supposed to live, but we've been taught to go get the J-O-B, and the J-O-B goes away and we're stranded. This is what we're trying to do. This is what I've been doing now for almost the last 13 years, teaching people. By the way, my mentor in Australia said, John, if you've got to have a passion. This is my family farm back in Vermont. It's been in our family over 200 years. Unfortunately, somebody torched our barn in 1980. We had to build it back. But right around the corner, right there's a little dirt road that goes through that bridge. That's called Gifford Bridge. And it was built by my great-great-great-grandfather years ago. This is looking at it from the other angle. I learned how to ride my bicycle going down that road. I can tell you about every fence post I put in the ground with my daddy growing up. I got my first kiss from my wife in that covered bridge. And I've been married to her for 48 years this coming Tuesday. So that's what I'll tell you. There was a guy recently on TV, they said, "Sir, what do you do for work?" "Retired." "Married?" "Yep, 49 years. They said, "What's the secret?" "Well, I always believe in taking my wife on big vacations. On our 25th anniversary, I took her to China." He says, "Next year on her 50th, I'm going to go get her." So that was his solution. You gotta have a tractor on the farm. You can't believe how many hours I smile every time I get that thing. Anyway, let's look at our current investments. What group are we in? Well, obviously, if we start with nothing and we don't do anything about it, where are we going to be? Same thing. Well, maybe many of us have got money in a savings account, and if we don't do something about it, because we're making, most of us, less than 1%, it's going to shrink in value in 5 years. The same with our CDs. Or maybe you're in this category where you got a 401k, IRA, etc. We know if we don't do something, do you ever feel like your 401k or 401k or IRA is on a roller coaster ride? It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. It follows the economy. So we've got to do something. You've heard of the rule of 72, right?
Yeah.
What does it say? If you invest money at 10% per year, you can double your money every 7.2 years. Well, if you get 0.5%, it takes 144. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm going to make it. Okay? But if I could change that to a 12%, now I double my money. This takes you 18% in 4 years.
Wow.
We can see the impact, and these are the kind of investment that every one of the guys have been sharing, but I'm going to be sharing, that we can do that. 25% return, 2.8 years. Now you can see where I could start. I mean, we're talking about doubling our money, okay, if we do it right. Where's our money now? Well, maybe you've got a 401k, a 403b, or maybe you'll have a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. I'm sure most of you know the difference. Basically, a traditional IRA is funded with pre-tax dollars. Okay? When you can start taking money out at 59.5, you're required to take money out at 70.5. A Roth IRA is funded with after-tax dollars, which is kind of cool. I can take money out at 59.5, but I'm not required to, and I don't have to take it out at 70.5. In fact, I could start a Roth at age 90 if I wanted to, as long as I had earned income. So there's a lot of pluses having a Roth IRA along with that. Or we got money in the bank. I'm sure we're all, maybe in some of that area, you've got other investments. I only got a 401k. How can I use it? Anybody got a 401k with a previous employer? Nobody? Okay, if you did, you could roll that into a self-directed traditional IRA. And there's a good gentleman out here from Equity Trust who is very familiar how to do that. And basically, when you do that,
And there's someone in the back of the room too, by the way.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I had to thank everybody. But that's a good point. There's somebody else back here. But you can roll that into the self-directed IRA. You can always move from a life retirement account into a nothing with no penalty, no interest. You could also move some of that money or that money into a Roth. But if I did, what would I have to do?
Pay taxes.
Pay the taxes. Because it's funded with after-tax dollars. But it's one way you could possibly fund a Roth. Or if you've got a 401k with a current employer, most of the cases, all you can do is borrow against it. So you got to ask yourself, well, why in the world would I want to borrow? Because I will pay myself back through payroll deductions. Most of the time, 5%. If you can borrow, if you're fully vested, you can borrow, usually up to 50%. There's sometimes a limit on what you can borrow. By the way, I want to stop right here. I am not licensed to tell you what to do with your IRA. I can give you ideas, but you need to seek the advice of your financial advisor or somebody like that who is licensed to do so. Okay, because really, all I want you to know is that you can use this money, that a lot of times that's all the money we have, and I can use that into a better investment with a better return. So I could borrow. Well, if I borrow and I pay myself back with 5% and I can make 18 to 25, is that a good business decision? That's all I want you to think about. Okay? So how do I use my IRA? You take your Roth IRA, your traditional IRA, you have a custodian. You know, like the people, what's the name of your company?
U-Direct IRA Services.
Okay, you heard that. What is it?
U-Direct.
IRA Services. And there's some other people here too. you go to someone like that who will act as your custodian, because that's what IRS says you have to have. Okay, then you could take this money and invest in tax liens, tax deeds, real estate, number of different things. Okay, now, our goal is to invest. One of the ways that we grow our portfolio is invest in real estate. So how do I invest? Option one, go through the education process of finding a property, perform the due diligence, purchase the property, rehab the property, find the renters, and put it under property management. Those are just a quick overview of some of the steps. Or you could become an investor and let somebody else do all the above. And believe it or not, after going through this myself, and then going through this process, and then teaching this process, it truly is one of the best ways to do it. And you've heard how already people, the guy from Texas, who they provide homes. They buy them, they rehab them, they lease them, they rent them, and then they make them available. You're getting a turnkey situation. We do the same thing. That's one of the areas that we do it. So what is real estate worth today? How properties are traditionally valued. I think this might be helpful for you. You have the comparable approach, and we're all familiar with that. You can go to Zillow and you can actually key in the address and you can look at the area and what are other properties have sold like properties in that area. That's called comps, or comparable approach. It's difficult to determine hard-hit areas. The cost approach is the cost of rebuilding a like property, and it's used when values are uncertain. And then the third approach is the income approach, common in appraising commercial property, increasingly used in residential. What does it do for income? So for example, to price a property in the normal market, you take the monthly rent, $1,000 per month, and you add 2 zeros. And now the other gentleman was just in here, said, and you asked the question, you've got a $100,000 property, what kind of rent we expect? I thought you did, maybe you didn't. But anyway, that's where you get that, $1,000. In a hot market, you take the yearly rent, as example, $12,000, add 1 zero, and you get $120,000. So this gives you an idea. It does not work in a high real estate price market like California. Okay, now, why is it time to buy? Income approach. Returns on single family and small commercial are at historic highs and consistently beat other investments. That's just what Warren Buffett said. Interest rates are the lowest, real estate is as low as it's been, okay, and the rents are going up. Cost approach. Homes in key markets can be purchased for well below the cost of raw materials used to construct them. I don't know if any of you folks have ever gone out lately. I just recently talked to a guy about building a house for my daughter, and he wanted $200 a square foot in Vermont. Now, I'm sure it's higher out here. I mean, your 1,000 square foot house is $200 grand. Not counting you own in the land. Comparable approach. Markets are stabilizing. There is more inventory to absorb. Acquiring properties before new builds start is key. I thought that was helpful for you, just to get an idea how they price real estate and where the opportunities are. Look what he said. Question, if owning is so much cheaper than renting, why don't renters just start buying? Good question. Declining FICO scores. Just heard a little bit about that. Ballooning student loan debt. Tight credit markets. My daughter-in-law and my son both graduated from college together. They have about a $60,000 to $70,000 debt they got to pay between the two of them, and it's a $600-700 a month. There's their mortgage. They can't get a mortgage just because of that. Tight credit markets. Banks are not lending. Very little new home construction, although it is picking up in areas. General distrust for home ownership. Okay? Morgan Stanley. Across the country, more Americans are becoming home renters and fewer Americans are becoming home owners. The beginning of the rentership society is upon us. That was Oliver Chang. Okay, I think you're here because you understand the value of real estate, but I think that one of the things I wanted to show you. How do I take advantage? Basically, I decide on a profitable market. I zero in on the top neighborhoods. I get a competent realty or auction representative, contractors, rehabbers, property management, purchasing quantity become top priority. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. These are some of the key, by the way, I am rushing a little bit because I have a half hour and I want to respect that time. So I'm trying to get the highlights and then you can come out and talk to me. In fact, that's one of the things I'm going to offer. If anybody want to discuss their real estate needs. They don't have to today, but I've got a form on my table, put your name down. I can spend a half hour or whatever to discuss your needs. Alternative approach, as we mentioned earlier, is we'll acquire the properties in our markets. We then perform the full renovation on the properties. We find the tenants, collect the rent, and the prep statement. You purchase a property, that's the wrong name, I need to update that. That's one of our subdivisions, but we're doing it through Ultimate Property Tours now. You receive the rental income is generated, guaranteed for 6 months. Okay? Now, property liens. I've got to talk about this, because this is one of the hottest little markets. Now, tax liens have been available for a long time. I think we know that. Years and years and years. There are tax liens, there's super priority liens, there's mechanic liens, and there's mortgage liens. What is a tax lien? Tax lien is a first position lien on a property due to delinquent property taxes. First position on a property, okay, due to delinquent, they haven't paid the property taxes, okay? There's state breakdown. Some states are lien states, some states are deed states. Some states are redemptive deed states. And there are super priority lien states. Anybody know what California is? They are a deed state. They are a deed state. In California, you go to auction. You bid on the property. Whoever the highest bidder is, they get the property. There's no redemption period. You take a state like Texas. Texas is a deed state, but it's a redemptive deed state. Which means, if I go to auction and I get the deed of the property, the homeowner has, if it's agricultural or homestead, he has up to 2 years to pay his taxes back. If it's rental or commercial, he has 6 months. And Texas pays 25%. So if it's an investment property or a rental property, I could do that every 6 months. I could get as high as 50% return buying tax deeds in Texas. On rental, it's my favorite state for doing tax deeds. Wow. Incredible state. Okay? Lien state. Florida is my favorite lien state. Okay? Why? Well, they pay 18%. They have a 2-year redemption period. Okay? So if I buy liens, and I do this the way I learned, the way I've taught people, we do all this online. I live in Vermont. I buy them in Florida. All online. I register. Obviously, the liens are first go to auction, same as deeds. They go to auction. If you want to get frustrated and never want to invest in tax liens or tax deeds, go to an auction. Very frustrating. Do you know the #1 buyer of tax liens are?
Banks.
Banks. Banks. So you're going to compete against the institution. But because there's so many of them, and in Arizona 2 years ago, there was 287,000. Over that, tax liens available. So what you do is you wait till after the auction. After the auction, those things that did not get sold goes into the county office and is sold over the counter online.
Oh my God.
On the counter, you can do it all from the comfort of your home. They notify you when the auction is. They notify you when you're online. I go through and I go down through. I click, click, click. I like those. I put in the address into Google Maps and I go right up and down the street and I look at it. I have certain areas that I always buy tax liens. That's how you can get into buying tax liens. You're not often going to end up with a tax lien. Okay, if I didn't pay my taxes in Florida and the county puts a lien on it and I owe $5,000 in taxes, I will probably beg, borrow, but not steal, but I'm somehow going to get the money to cover the taxes and put the house for sale, particularly if there's equity in it. So you don't often get properties with tax liens, but you do sometimes. But there is another combination that will help that. It's called a super priority lien. How many have ever heard of a super priority lien? Some of you. There are 19 super priority lien states. And what is a super priority? Nevada, by the way, is one of them. HOA, Homeowner Association liens, have priority over everything else except your tax liens. Always the tax liens is #1. #2 is HOAs. Is your HOA, Homeowner Association, even before a mortgage. Okay? So, there's the map, shows it. Now I want to show you that lien priority. There you go, there's the tax lien, number one priority. Now comes the HOA super priority liens. First trust deed, that's the mortgage, is next. Now there is some other HOA lien balance, there are some that don't apply here, that comes in after the trust deed, but this is the main one that has priority. Second trust deed, second mortgages, your mechanics liens. That's the order of priority. Okay, so a homeowner super, so what is the HOA homeowner association doing? They are foreclosing on people who haven't paid their HOA fees. And they take and foreclose, get the property, they then sell the property to different people. We have a number of suppliers, we buy in bulk. And what we do then is then take those properties and we will offer them to investors. For example, out on my table is an example of a $45,000 house, $45,185. That's a market value. It's not a house, it's a condo. We discount that 30%. So you can buy that for about $31,000 and change. It rents for around $8,200 a month. Not a month, but that's the cash flow on that property. So you've just made a $30,000 investment with an $8,200 a year return. Is that a good return? Think about it. Now, true, there is a mortgage on it. There's a clouded title. There is a clouded title. But what we do, we sell it to the investor. You buy it. We give you a 30% discount. We rent it. Most of them are already rented. You immediately start getting rental income on that property. We then clear the title. We have attorneys that go through the process. There's a very strict legal process that all these super priority lien states have set up. They go clear the title. Once the title is cleared, you then get quiet, they call it quiet the title. Now you have the full title deed on the property. It has 30% immediate equity, and you've had the rent for that whole period of time. It's incredible. And this is what we're starting to see. You're going to see an awful lot more of this over and over and over the next few years. Because it's a great way for people to get into cash income properties with a smaller dollar amount. Okay? So, how's that benefit us? We purchase the HOA receivables. Okay, I want to talk about, we do three things. Ultimate Property Tours, we do three things. We have property that already we have bought, just like the guy from Texas. We got them in Ohio, we have them in Michigan, we have them in North Carolina and Vegas. We have bought these properties, they have clear title. Okay? Oh my goodness sake. All right.
My coincidence, my friend Rolando here happens to have his birthday the same day. Thank you, Robert.
Let's just go on with the presentation.
And Laura.
Where was I? Pardon?
You were talking about states where you were.
Okay.
All right.
So the states, we do, again, we do three things. We have bought properties, we have rehabbed them, we have them rented, and we sell turnkey. We have those in Michigan, all my Michigan properties, my Ohio properties, my North Carolina properties, all clear title. Since Nevada is a super priority lien state, that's where we have properties, what we call clouded title. That now, if for some reason we can't clear that title, we substitute another property of like value for it, so we get you a clear title property. So you're pretty well protected. So we have clear property, clear title properties, turnkey. We have properties that we buy through HOA, and we offer those at a discount. Okay? The third way we do it is we purchase receivables. Now this is a joint effort because the average receivable, you're looking at about $7,000 to $10,000. Average receivable. We can go in with a block and buy 10 of those. When you buy the receivables, they haven't been foreclosed on. So we hire a management company who is an expert at doing this that starts that process. And they start getting the foreclosure process. All the steps that we have to do, get the title, then we clear the title and offer it. That's a way you can get in at a much reduced price. You could buy one of those in the $7,000 to $10,000 range. When we end up selling it, we split the profits. So that's kind of a joint effort. Those are the three ways that we are helping people start investing, particularly where they can use their IRA money or start with a small amount. Purchase quiet title deed of the properties at a discount. I say 20 to 30%. If there's a property, let's say it's 70 grand net, and you put 30,000 down, we can finance the balance, but you'll get a 20% discount, and we'll finance the balance up to 2 years while we're getting the title. And that's interest-only payments, and the interest is 6 to 8%. Okay? We then clear the title and you get the rent. The key thing, we have got people buying that says, hey, don't rush getting the title cleared. I want the rent. They put such little money in it, they said, I want the rent. So they're just collecting rent and they're waiting for the banks to make a move. Okay? It's one of the best real estate opportunities I've seen out there. And this is one of the areas, and a lot of people have not heard this yet. As I say, there's 19 states. You can just Google super priority lien states and you'll see a list. I believe Arizona, Nevada, Connecticut, Florida, a number of states. There's over 340,000 HOA receivables available right now. There's 20,000 homes in Florida that are going to become available. So the opportunity is out there, and if we can protect you. Now, is there risk? There's always risk in real estate. There's always risk in any investment. In the HOA receivables, there's a $3,500 management fee. If they end up paying up, that's what I get. That's what I would lose, $3,500. That's why I love to buy a group of 10 of them, because 8 out of 10 go through. The 2 that pay up, so it costs me $7 grand to get in there, but my returns, and that's what I encourage you to do is to stop out at my table, and you can put your name on one of the forms, and anybody that's interested in a 30 or half-hour consultation on your real estate needs, or even want to talk to this, I will be calling people back and be talking to them. We're going to do a bus tour in Vegas on October 4th. It's 4th and 5th. Okay, and we're going to combine that with the Realty 411. But you're going to actually get to see these properties. The reason we started the bus tour, the ultimate property tour, is there's no better way than for you folks to actually see the properties, touch it, feel it, see it, so that you know what you're getting. You'll get to meet a lot of the key players. All those properties, they have property managers in place. You get to choose if you like them, they're already managing it, you certainly can do that. Any questions? How many like, yes sir?
Well, just a comment, you mentioned Warren Buffett a few times, and the rule of 72. He's been investing since age 17, he's 88. He's averaged an unprecedented 20% return on investment.
That's correct.
He's number 2 richest in the country.
Yep. And Warren Buffett, I wish I could write the video, but you can't hear it. But he says it's just, he says if I had, and he kind of sits and stutters, but he says it's one of the best asset classes that we can invest in today because of what I showed you. A 30-year mortgage at a very low rate. Even if you could afford to pay it, he's saying, get the 30-year mortgage at that low interest rate, take the money, the other money, and keep building. It's incredible. Yes, sir?
And what were you saying about the time frame for the residential in Texas, the redemptions?
2 years. If
2
in
years.
Texas, if it's a deed state,
Yeah.
redemption period is 2 years if it's agricultural or homestead. If it's a second home or rental or commercial, it's 6 month redemption period. And check this out. If there's rental income on the property, you get that too. So not only will you make 25%, you will get the rental income on that property.
Yes, I had a friend of mine, they went, well, him and his partner, they bought some in Texas, got them dirt cheap.
Yep. Yes.
Will you ever, are you ever unable to clear the title?
That we've had and by the way, one of the things, this is being tested, has been tested in court after over and over again, and it's becoming much easier to clear the title. But the answer is, I have to say, yes, there are times you may not clear the title. We substitute another property so that you can get a property with a clear title.
What prevents you from clearing title?
Well, prevention? Well, the banks, they're the ones that, they want to take
They
it.
just come in and pay out.
Oh, the other thing we can do with a lot of the banks, don't forget, the banks have insurance. mortgage insurance, they've already been paid for this. You take that $45,000 property with an $8,200 cash flow, $8,200 a year cash flow, they're not gonna spend $30,000 to $40,000 to fight that. It's just not worth it. They've already got the insurance on it. Okay? So they walk away from it. Now, if you get a bigger one, they might want to fight. Depends on who the bank is. But these banks have been tested over and over and over. Most of them are walking away. Worst case, if it's a choice property, what we'll do is do a short sale with them. We can negotiate with a bank and we help do that. We'll negotiate and get that property a lot cheaper. So you get, the point is, you should have a minimum of 30% equity. Assuming it takes a year to get the property clouded, title cleared, get a quiet title, you're looking at roughly appreciation of around 9 to 11% in Vegas right now. So not only you got a 30% equity, you got another growth in appreciation, and you've got the rent for all 12 months. Not a bad little deal. It's worth asking some questions about
It's
both.
higher than 9 to 11 in Vegas.
What's that?
It's a higher appreciation in Vegas right now.
Right now,
It's
Vegas has a higher appreciation than
22%, second in the nation.
they're one of the hardest hits to go down. I can't believe how quick they're coming back, and the rents are amazing.
Phoenix is number 3, San Francisco number 1.
So you're saying like after the, you said after an auction and it doesn't go, and you go on the site now, won't they, did you say you could go in there and try to purchase it then or something like that?
What are you talking about, tax, a
Yeah.
tax
Tax
lien?
lien.
Or the super priority lien?
Tax lien.
A tax lien.
Yeah.
Okay, if a tax lien does not sell at auction, it goes back into the county courthouse and they list it online. You register with the county, they show you the properties. So you can look at all those properties. I always did my due diligence ahead of time. I know there's certain areas in Florida I like. I Google map, I go up and down the street, okay? Then that's where you can buy them. And the other thing that I caution about auctions, most auctions are what they call bid down states. That means if I go to auction and my house is up for sale in Florida, and how do you pronounce your name? Annalisa says, I'll buy it for 18%, because that's the percentage that Florida pays. And over your name, sir? Rolando says, well, I'll do it for 16%. She's, oh, I'll do it for 14. I'll do it for 10. See, you're bidding the interest rate down when you go to auction. Over the counter, you don't, you get the full 18. By the way, this is something of interest. California is a deed state, only sold at auction. But because there's so many properties starting to, in some areas that they haven't sold, they're starting to do this same thing where they'll go over the counter and offer properties that way. Before it was always held, then went to the next auction, held, went to the next auction, but they can't sell them all. So now they're doing this where you can go online and do it in some counties.
How do you find out more about that?
We basically we have a whole process, and it's a whole other thing that teaches taxing, but you can register with the county, go to any county you have interest in, and find out what the rules are. County can just go to the county town clerk's office or parish or wherever it is. Awesome. Well, hopefully that gives you an idea. This is what we do. We offer you turnkey. We're offering you an opportunity to get into real estate at a much less value. True, it has clouded title, but we clear the title. And you get the rent while all that's happening. It's incredible. I mean, you take a $31,000 investment with an $8,200 a year, you can just put that in the calculator and you can find out what your return is. I can do a lot more that way instead of buying one. You follow me? Awesome. Well, I don't want to overstay my time, but thank you very, very much. Just stop out, put your name on the form. There's no obligation. Then I'll make sure that I get the information to you and answer any questions you might have.
John will be out there. We've got a number of other vendors that'll be out there that you can stop off and talk to if you want to. And then anybody wants to go downstairs and network, you know, that would be happening too. So thank you very, very much for showing up here today. And
Good event.
thank you so much.